Hello friends, this is Lisa. I'm here with the Essential Way and we're just getting started with the class. So it'll be a few minutes. We're going to let everybody get on and we'll be here pretty soon though. So hang tight and we'll be starting really soon. All right, friends, we have just a couple more minutes and then we'll really get started on the class. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to give a couple more minutes for people to get on and we'll get started here soon. We have a lot to cover, so it's going to be a fast hour, I think. Hope that you're thinking of some questions and getting ready to enter some of the giveaways. We would love to see if you can see the screen and if you can hear me. So we're going to do a little sound check here. You can type over in the box on the right of your screen by the YouTube box. If you just give us a little message, tell us who you are, where you're from, and we're going to make sure everything's working well here for you. You will be able to enter the giveaways and enter the questions on the YouTube page to the right of the video. So that's a great way to use it. But you can also go to Facebook. We're going to have all the giveaways and we'll be getting questions there too. So feel free to go to the official event page and type your answers and questions there too. Great. I know it's a Monday. How is everybody's Monday? All right, glad to hear that everything's working out for you. That's fantastic. and we're glad you can hear and see. If anything changes during the time, just let us know. We'll do our best to get it fixed for you. While we get started, I just thought I would tell you a great story from a friend of mine the other day about essential oils. This is a freebie for all of you early birds. The other day, a friend of mine who has 3 little kids, she was out shopping, and it was a long morning with all of her young people. And so she wrote this little story. She said, "Today, my son had an epic meltdown temper tantrum in the parking lot in the rain. So epic, I missed the fact that my youngest walked away from my side and had walked out into a main 2-wide drive and was almost hit by a car. I screamed stop at the last second, and she did stop, but the driver of the car never saw her. Once my heart calmed down, and I literally dragged my son to the car while trying to carry 2 big bags and holding the little one's hand, I remembered that I had Gentle Baby essential oil in my bag. He was kicking and screaming and in total meltdown mode as I applied 1 drop to his wrists and then just let him sit on the van floor. In the less than 1 minute it took to buckle my youngest in her car seat, my son's entire body relaxed on the floor, and he let out a massive sigh and quit crying. I watched it happen before my eyes, and it was amazing. He has been calm and loving for the last hour." I thought that was a great little story of a way that a friend used an essential oil, and I think it illustrates the power that they potentially have. And so we're going to get to explore those things a lot more tonight, and hopefully you'll go away with some ideas too for how you can use them. We are going to go ahead and jump in, and so thanks all for joining. You're here for the Essential Oils Crash Course, as we're calling it. I'll say hi. This is Lisa, and I'm here in Indianapolis tonight. I get to serve with the Essential Way group. That's part of the Essential Oils group that I get to be part of. And we have people who actually are all over the world. And so tonight we have people joining us from Australia, and some members are in Malaysia and Singapore and all kinds of places across the world. So we're really privileged, of course, to have all of our American friends too. So I'll be doing the main teaching tonight, but I'm also joined by my friends down in Kentucky, close to Kentucky, from the Sparrow's Tree Modern Baby Boutique. And so Danielle Allen is going to be joining us as well for part of that, to do part of the teaching. We'll have her jumping on here pretty soon. And I'm really excited that we get to have such a great group of people to work with. I think that one of my favorite parts about the classes is what I learn from everyone. So way more than I actually teach, I feel like I get to learn when I'm teaching the classes. So that's why we really need you to interact, because this is a little out of my comfort zone. I can't look you in the eye. I can't bring in oil to you and let you smell it as much as I'd like to. And so go ahead and feel free to chat in the box to the right of your YouTube screen, or you can also feel free to also leave messages on Facebook. And so my buddy Narelle, I'm gonna come over here, Narelle. She's being my assistant tonight. So hi, Narelle is gonna help us teach as well. You'll see her a little bit later, but she's moderating all the questions so that I am not totally distracted by all of you, as much as it's good. But we are going to go ahead and let Danielle get on here as well, and you can say hi to her. I know that some of you have already asked me questions, so that's fantastic. We have a couple things that we're going to cover tonight already based on the questions that you've asked. And then if you have other things that come up as you go along, then please feel free to type those questions in, and we will be covering those questions as much as possible. Now, this is called the crash course for a reason. We're going to try to cover what would maybe normally take me about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We're going to try to cover it in about an hour to leave time for questions at the end. So hopefully I really will be able to stick with that, and we'll see how it goes. Let's see here. I just have one more thing to do to get Danielle on here, and then we'll be launching in. So we're going to go ahead and start out with a giveaway. We have several giveaways to do tonight, and this one is kind of for you early birds especially. And so in the chat box, to enter this giveaway, I would like you to just type your name and then also type whether you're new or whether you're experienced. So if you've used these oils before, if you know something about essential oils, then you can count as experienced. But if you feel like, I'm just a baby at this, I've never done anything, I don't know what they are, anything like that, then feel free to go ahead and say you're new. And so that's the first giveaway that we're going to have. We'll be doing the drawing here in a little while. But for all of you early birds, go ahead and jump on and go ahead and enter your answers for the giveaway. If you have a problem, we also wanted to let you know that you can send an email. So if none of the technology is working out for you, you can send an email to me and we'll make sure that you get taken care of. That email is essentialwaygroup@gmail.com. I wasn't going to use that address, but I just think that would be good in case anybody's having technology problems. So feel free to email essentialwaygroup@gmail.com if you have any questions. If the chat boxes don't work for you, we'll get you taken care of. But without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started here. There again, this is called the Essential Oils Crash Course, and I will share a little bit about our group and then a little bit about the different people, and then I'll tell a little bit of my story as well and how I kind of got started on all this good stuff. So you're at the Essential Oils Crash Course. A few things that you just need to know. We are Young Living independent distributors, which means that we are representatives of Young Living, and tonight everything that I share will be exclusively about Young Living essential oils, and I'll talk about that later on why I made the switch after working at Whole Foods for so many years and kind of getting to try a lot of different oils. But youngliving.com is where you can find out a lot about the different blends and things that we'll talk about tonight if you're not familiar with the blends. So youngliving.com is an option for you. There's also a couple of things I'll leave up here on the screen for just a minute. These are the Facebook pages for both the Essential Way and then the Sparrow's Tree Baby Boutique. Danielle's from the Sparrow's Tree, and she'll be joining us there. So be sure to check out these pages. Please like them, and we'll be having a lot more events like this probably in the future, and so you can keep posted on everything that we have going on there. So take note of these. The other thing I wanted to mention is this website. This is the main one that you'll want to keep in mind throughout the evening. So crashcourse.theessentialway.com. This is kind of your last lifeline to us, and this is how you can get all of the course notes that we'll be providing. So there's so much to cover in this class. I don't want you to have to take notes frantically the whole night. Feel free to go to this website, fill out the little form, and then we'll send you the resources and follow-up notes that we'll be talking about throughout the class. So definitely do that so that you can keep posted on everything that we talk about. I know that I learn better if I can just sit back and listen during my times and not need to be frantically scribbling down all the notes. But that's a bit about some resources that you'll want to keep in mind as we go through the night. I just will go ahead now and tell you just a bit about myself and let you know that I'm delighted that you're here. I wanted to let you know that I am not a medical professional. My name is Lisa, and I I don't have any medical credentials. So I'm really just here as a friend, and I'm here as an educator, and I'm here as a health advocate. My passion is to really empower people to take responsibility for their personal health. And I think the path for that kind of started for me when I was actually pretty young. I grew up in a really healthy family. We ate a good diet. We didn't have a lot of junk in our lifestyle. We didn't watch a lot of TV. We were always outside, all of that good stuff. But when I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And that radically changed my family's health path because we really began to be aware of the different health challenges that we might face. Of course, it was unexpected and not something that we were planning. That's something that I still deal with today. So I'm 30 and I'm on insulin, and I still have some of the challenges that come with that. But because of these challenges, I've been able to learn a lot about health and about my body and about the importance of taking care of myself and making wise choices. We'll talk a lot about those things. Fast forward a bit, the way that I got introduced to essential oils was really through a little business that I had. I had a business making natural skincare products, and that turned into a job for Whole Foods Market. I started teaching classes for them, teaching about how to make some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, actually. And that's when I kind of started to use essential oils. Now, at the time, I would just buy cheap oils online or at Whole Foods Market or wherever I would get them. And they smelled good. I didn't know anything about them, really. Fast forward a few more years, I moved to Indiana, and I met some friends who introduced me to what was called therapeutic grade essential oils. And that was a big revelation to me. And as I started to use them a little bit, I started to notice benefits that were really different from the herbs and things that I had tried before. And so that was interesting. I really didn't do much with it, though, for several years until these same friends who are now my essential oils mentors, I call them, they hired me to do some office work for them. And as I started to kind of do some filing and learn more about these oils, I would be reading different things that they would have me working with, filing or whatever. I was amazed as I discovered the power of essential oils and what God had put into each drop of these oils that we have. And so that was really when I started to understand and want to experience them more for myself. I still didn't do a lot with it, but then I was about to go on a trip to India for a mission trip. And I really knew that I needed to boost my immune system because I would maybe be facing lots of different things for my body. So I wanted to have a good, strong immune system. And so that's when I first got my oils and started to use them regularly. And I have never gone back. That was just the start of my journey with using essential oils regularly. And I've learned more and more and more. Still have so much to learn, but that's what we're going to be sharing tonight. We are going to go ahead and jump in now to some of the things that we get to cover. And so I still don't see Danielle on here. Danielle, if you click the link that I sent you, the invitation, that'll mean that you can say hi to. So we'll get you on here in just a minute. But, all right. So moving back over to our PowerPoint, we have several main topics that we're going to try to go over tonight. So don't forget this link here, the crash course at theessentialway.com. And a couple things I wanted to mention. The FDA always likes us to tell this disclaimer that the information that we're sharing tonight is intended solely for the purpose of education. So Young Living products and essential oils are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, mitigate, or prevent any disease or condition. None of this information has been reviewed or approved by the FDA and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, mitigate, or prevent any disease or condition. Please consult with a healthcare professional of your choice. We always encourage people to have a team of people involved in their health. So take responsibility and have a team. Use common sense with the things that you go over. One other thing that I just wanted to mention is that some things have changed this year with the FDA. They've changed a few things about the way that we as users can talk about essential oils. And so in the past, I used to talk more about how they provided healing and different things like that, but that's not something that I'm allowed to do anymore. And so I just wanted to let you know that we'll be talking about them from the perspective of how they support our health and wellness. And so they're there to support our body system. We'll be going over all those things a little bit later, some of them. So if you feel like sometimes I'm being a little bit vague, that's because of the restrictions that are on me, and that's fine. There's still great ways to use the oils and ways to share. So I just don't want you to be frustrated if you ask questions and I have to answer them a little differently maybe than you thought. But that's that. The same as with testimonies. I can't always tell the testimonies that I could share, but that's all right. I think that the main thing is that you try the oils for yourself and see how they benefit your health. So we'll be going over all that. All right. I see Danielle now. I'm going to switch it over to her, and she'll say a little bit about Sparrow's tree and about herself.
Hi.
I think this is going to work here.
Sorry about taking so long to get back on here. For a second, I was looking around. I didn't see where the link was, but I found it. And this little guy's Archer, and he's grouchy. He's supposed to be down sleeping right now.
Let's see. There you go. Hey, Danielle.
Okay, hi. Anyway, we're here at Sparrow.
Can everybody see her?
We're here. Archer's supposed to be sleeping, but instead he's awake.
Great.
We're here.
And I'm sorry, I missed a little bit of that. Did you tell about all your kids?
No, not yet. All right. Just want to make sure we're all good. We have 3 kids. So Elsie's 3, Justice is 2, and Archer just turned 8 months. And we've been using essential oils since before we had kids, shortly after we got married. My mom actually was telling me all about what she was learning about essential oils and told us we should give it a try. And we did. And we love using essential oils. We're so grateful to have something we can use just to boost our immune system, help support all of our healthy systems, and not having to rely on some other methods.
Great. Good. Well, thank you so much. And then tell us a little bit about your store and what you do now.
Essential oils are a big ingredient in many of them. Well, they're great. We're so glad that you all joined us tonight for this essential oil class. We're giving away a couple oils, and Lisa has more of the details.
Yes. Great. Well, yes. Thank you, Danielle. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that Danielle and her husband, Justin, they have a store called the Sparrow's Tree, and it's down in New Albany, Indiana, which is down south close to Kentucky. And they sell all kinds of natural parenting items, and then they also have lots of essential oils and items for chemical-free living for your family. So be sure to check them out on Facebook or sparrowstree.com. That's a great place and great resource. So Danielle is going to be talking to us in a little while about using essential oils with kids and babies. She has a lot of experience with that, and we're excited to have her on. We're going to go ahead and do, make sure that you got to enter the first giveaway, which was to just say your name, and then if you are a new or experienced user. And so that's the giveaway that we're working on right now. And we'll be doing another one in just a couple minutes. But we will go ahead and move on now to the next slide. One of the big questions that I think some people start to ask is about the the question, what's so essential about oils? Why are these oils called, why are these oils called essential? And actually my boss once, he would joke with me, he'd be like, those non-essential oils that you have, my boss and my job, and he jokes with me about that. And so I just laugh and say, haha. But essential oils are called essential because they are the lifeblood of plants, and they are essential to plants. And they're basically, they regulate a plant's growth, their immunity, their fruitfulness, their life. And so they are so concentrated because they use so much plant material to condense the plants that they're very powerful. And we're going to talk more about how tiny they are and how they can penetrate our skin, and we'll talk about how high in antioxidants they are. They are oxygenating to our system, and they may promote emotional, physical, and mental wellness. So that's kind of what they are. Basically, it can take the amount of fresh plant material that it takes to make a drop of essential oil or a bottle of essential oil is much, 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 much greater than what it is in the bottle. So it can take thousands of lemons to make a pound of oil, or it can take a whole pound of peppermint to make just one bottle of peppermint oil. So you're getting a very concentrated amount of plants. One bit of trivia that is pretty amazing, but did you know that in just one drop of essential oil, we don't really have time to have a guess, but one drop contains 40 million trillion molecules. And that's a huge number. It's so big we can barely comprehend it. It's a 4 with 19 zeros after it. So it's a huge number of molecules in just one drop. And that's actually enough molecules that there would be 40,000 molecules for every cell in our body. If every cell has 100, our body has maybe as many as 100 trillion cells in it. And so that would still be 40 molecules for every cell that we have in our body. So understanding that, I think, really helps us understand more about the power of essential oils and how tiny they are. It also helps us understand we don't need much to use it. And the reason this is important is because of the way that God made our cells, which is just amazing. We have on our cells something called cell receptor sites. And maybe you're surprised to see this little picture of this classic childhood toy here in your when we're talking about cells. But our cells are kind of like this Tupperware toy. Maybe you had one when you were growing up, where there's the little blocks that only fit in the certain holes on the toy. And of course, the little babies sit there and they try to stuff the circle into the star and all that stuff, and it doesn't work out so well. But that's how our cells are. They also have certain sites that certain nutrients can fit into. And that's really important because if those sites get clogged with chemicals or with other things that disrupt the receptor sites, then our body can't get the nutrients that it needs. So the amazing thing about essential oils is that they can actually cleanse those receptor sites. So as the tiny drop of oil penetrates into our body, goes through our bloodstream and touches the cells, it cleanses the receptor sites and can open it up so that our body can assimilate the nutrients that it needs. All right. While we let that bit of science sink in for a minute, we're going to go ahead and do another giveaway. And so Narelle is going to post the giveaway on Facebook and on YouTube here in just a minute, and you'll be able to see the different options there. So take a look at that giveaway. This question is, we're going to ask people, just put your name again so we make sure that we connect with the right person, whoever wins, and then also put the how many, if you have any kids or grandkids, you can put that number. If you don't have any, that's fine. I don't have any kids, so I would be putting 0, but go ahead and put the number of kids or grandkids, and we'd like to see that. So that's the giveaway that we're doing right now. I'm also going to pause for just a minute, and I wanted to introduce some other people who are part of our group. I wanted to let you know that The Essential Way is the group from Gabriel and Jeanette Castellino. So I wanted to make sure everybody was on. Now that we have more viewers on, they could hear about them. They have been using essential oils for over 15 years, and the stories that they have of how they've used them over the years is the thing that really inspired me and got me into using the oils. So currently they are traveling. They're all over the world in different places, and they wish they could be here, and hopefully in a future class they can be here as well. But if you email us with any questions for them, or if you're friends, then we can always make sure that they get that message as well. So that's Gabriel and Jeanette Castellino. And so if you ever sign up for our email list or anything like that, you'll be getting different emails from them. They are a wealth of information and resources. All right, so that was a little bit of science. We're going to jump over now to just a bit more science and talk a little bit about antioxidants. Of course, antioxidants are a really big deal these days. We hear about them for all kinds of health reasons. Antioxidants are some of the things that work in our cells, and they're taking out free radicals, which are things which are kind of cells that are mutated, which cause a lot of disease. But we talk a lot about different foods, of course, that have antioxidants in them. And so this is a little measure of some of the different things that we hear about that have antioxidants in them. So you can see green tea is one we hear about. It's pretty far down there on the scale. Pomegranates, wild blueberries. By the way, wild blueberries have a lot more than normal blueberries, but then you jump up to cocoa powder. Whoa, it's getting high up there in antioxidants, nutmeg and turmeric. But I just wanted to show you kind of another one of the things about essential oils on the ORAC scale, which measures antioxidants. Once you add essential oils, you can see that we leap up into the millions, even with clove, which is very high in antioxidants on the ORAC scale. And so you can see kind of the comparison between ground nutmeg, which was pretty high, and then the essential oil of nutmeg, which is so much higher than that. So that's just another good reason to incorporate them into our daily routines. And of course, we're going to be talking about ways to do that, and then also do-it-yourself methods for using them in different ways. Let's go ahead and move on to how we get essential oils. And this is really interesting to me. This goes into the quality. I mentioned earlier that I worked for Whole Foods Market, and I got to experience several different essential oils over that time. The reason I've decided to go with Young Living is because of their seed to seal process. You can see their seed to seal process, which basically means that they're committed to shepherding the process all the way from the seed to the seal. So we'll just go through this really fast. They actually have farms, and they grow the plants, and then all the way to our doorstep, basically they're overseeing the process. But they even own their farms. This is the picture of a farm in Canada, which is one of their recent farms, and it's called the Northern Lights Farm. People go, and some of their team and people from around the world come to even participate in the planting and in the harvest. But the harvest it's very important that it's done at the right time of the year. And so for things like the black spruce, the most beneficial time when the oils are at their best is in the dead of winter, which is of course really hard. So they have to harvest the trees. They've also found that other companies will sometimes just use the limbs and the needles, but they've actually found that the best oil comes from the heartwood, which is much more difficult to harvest, but they go through that extra work. So after they harvest it, it's chipped, or depending on the plant material, different processes are used. Sometimes it's aged, sometimes it's harvested at a certain time of the day, sometimes it's put right into the distiller. It just depends on the plant when the oils are at their best. You can see here they have people who are compressing the plant material into the hopper because they want to have as much plant material as possible in the distiller. Then the distiller is, they're doing this in the dead of winter or whenever they need to do it. They even began to distill before they completely finished their building for the distiller, but there was such a demand for that oil. But as you can see here, on the far left is D. Gary Young, who founded the company, and that's the oil from the black spruce that's rising to the top, and that's the they then package that as the Northern Lights black spruce, and it's also a component in a blend. So let's take a second now that we've kind of seen where they come from, and we'll talk about the differences between essential oils and then essential oil blends. So one of the giveaways that we have tonight is a bottle of Citrus Fresh essential oil, and then another giveaway that we have is a bottle of Nutmeg essential oil. So nutmeg would be a single. It's just nutmeg is all that's in here. So 1 drop of nutmeg is there again, maybe has those 40 million trillion molecules in it. The Citrus Fresh is a blend of several different oils, including tangerine and lemon and grapefruit and orange, and then also some spearmint in it. And you might ask, why do you need blends? Well, sometimes, amazingly, an oil in a single will do completely different things than an oil that's in a blend. So you get a lot of synergy. It's also, speaking of like being economical with using the oils, the blends sometimes allow you to get a much more expensive oil to get that synergy without needing to buy 7 different bottles of something that you might use in a blend. So that's kind of the difference between a single and a blend. We also talked about the importance of purity. And because the molecules are so small in the essential oils, and they're so powerful at driving things into our cells because they're so small, the purity is the most important thing. And that's why I decided to go just with Young Living, because I really trust their purity. If an essential oil is mixed with other chemicals, then the pure oil will actually be pushing those chemicals into my cells. And after some bad experiences, I've decided that it's worth it to just stick with the safe ones. So I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to experience these oils that are so pure. A few safety tips before we get into how to use them. This is, of course, really important to only use completely pure essential oils, especially if you are using one that's labeled for a dietary supplement and that you can take internally. It's especially important. Listen to your body and use caution when you are starting out, especially. When in doubt, be sure to dilute the essential oil. And diluting would be mixing it with a carrier oil, like mixing it with coconut oil or almond oil or grapeseed oil. Especially with kids, that's important, and Danielle will talk about that. Understand that you might sometimes have a detox effect when you're using an oil. So if you experience a reaction, then that might be your body just cleansing itself kind of quickly. So that's not desirable. So if you are starting out, it's good to start slow. Some places where you don't want to use the oils would be in your eyes or your ears, sometimes under your underarms. That can sometimes be sensitive, or other sensitive areas. And then Danielle will talk about how to use them with kids as well, a little bit more. So we are going to go ahead and mention one of our winners now, and then we're going to be talking about that maybe you have some oils, how should you use them? Or maybe you don't have some oils and you're wondering how to use them, but we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But first, we have, she'll tell us here in just a minute. We'll go ahead and move on. one of the questions that we got, which is a really normal question, is that I have some oils, but I don't know what to do with them. And so maybe you're like some of us, you buy some stuff and it sounds really good when you hear about it, and then they sit on the shelf and you don't know what to do with it. Or maybe you know one thing, but you know you can do other things. So we're going to talk about all different ways that you can use them. The oils are special because they're what's called adaptogenic, which means they don't just do one thing in our body. And so that's why sometimes you might hear, oh, I use this to improve the appearance of my skin, and I also, it smells great and it helps me, it like promotes a relaxing effect. So I'll also use it to relax. You might find some dual uses, or you know what, I use this to boost my immune system and I also use it to support my digestive system, something like that. And that's a normal situation that you might encounter. So don't be surprised if you hear about that. But some of there's a lot of different ways to use them, but we'll talk about 3 main ways right now. How many of you have ever had the situation where you've used an oil or you have some and you don't know what to do with them? You can leave a little comment if that's for you, if you would resonate with that. But first we'll talk about some topical ways to use them. Basically, with all the different uses, you're just trying to get them into your system. And we'll talk about the 3 main ways, but topical is a great way. Your skin is a really large surface area, and if you just apply a drop, maybe directly to the desired location, that is going into your bloodstream and can have an effect and perhaps a health benefit. It's important to follow the package directions for dilution. So they'll always say on the bottle if you need to mix it with a carrier oil, like coconut oil, or V6 oil is another oil that is an oil blend. You can also add them to lotions, and then you can also use the oils on the bottom of your feet on VitaFlex points. And this was something that was kind of a surprise to me when I started. I was like, what? Use them on the bottom of your feet? Because that just seemed a little weird to me. However, that's actually, there's some really powerful physiological reasons for that. I'm going to show a little chart here. This shows a little chart, which is called the VitaFlex chart. And it shows how there are different places on the bottom of our feet that basically connect using the nerves to different parts of our body. So you can see like up on your big toe, that has more of a connection up to your brain, or some of your toes connect to your eyes, things like that. Sometimes people will use the oil on the bottom of their feet rather than directly on the area if they're trying to have a health benefit. And so this is just something to keep in mind. I'll put this in the course notes as well, so you'll be able to have this for yourself as a reference. There's also some points on the top of your feet that you can use to affect the different places. So if you're using a topical oil, you can take a look at those places. Another way to use the oils is aromatically. And this is another thing that was kind of a surprise to me when I started to use the oils. Back in the day, I kind of thought, oh, aromatherapy, you know, it smells good, so you feel good. And that's kind of the way that I saw aromatherapy. It wasn't, though, until I started to learn about how tiny the molecules were that it began to make sense to me that even just by breathing in the scent of an oil, even if I don't take it out of the bottle, if I just smell it right out of the bottle, those molecules are so small that they're going up, they're hitting the pineal gland and the top of my brain, and kind of the bottom of my brain rather, and going throughout my whole body and affecting my cells, having a health, perhaps supporting benefit that way. So there's a couple different ways to do that. And we're going to talk a little bit more in a minute about diffusing. We'll show some diffusers to you. But aromatic ways to use it, you can smell them directly from the bottle. You can diffuse using a cold diffuser. It's really important to not use a hot diffuser or a candle burner or anything like that, because when you heat the oil, that changes the constituents. You can mist them into the air. We'll talk about that. You can put a drop on your pillowcase if you're trying to promote rest. You can even put a drop on your child's stuffed animal so that as they're falling asleep, they can have the benefit of smelling that oil. All right, so we've covered the topical and then aromatic uses. The last main way that we'll talk about for using the essential oils is internally. And for internal uses, this is completely up to you. Some people choose not to use them internally at all. So I would encourage you to do some research before you do that. But it is something that I personally do, and I really, really do enjoy. But there's some different ways you can do that. Certain oils are approved as dietary supplements. So you could add them to a gel capsule. You could put a drop or two in some warm water. You could add them to recipes, smoothies, place a drop under your tongue, put a drop on your thumb and press it to the roof of your mouth, different ways like that you can use them internally. Another way is if you take a supplement that contains essential oils, there again, the essential oils can increase the absorption of the nutrients that you're getting, for instance, from vitamins or other things. So those are that was a flyby on some ways to use the oils. Depending on the situation and the health area that you're trying to benefit, I use them in different ways. And so the main thing is that you somehow use them. And so if you have some oil sitting on the shelf and you're wondering what's the best way, instead of wondering like what's the best way, maybe just decide on a good way and try it with consistency. Doing something simple with consistency is going to have a lot more effect than trying everything once, something like that. So I would really encourage you to do that, especially if you have some oil just sitting on the shelf. But now we're going to go ahead and talk about a big topic that a lot of people are interested in, and this would be using essential oils for babies and children. And for this part, I'm going to turn it over to Danielle because she's used it a lot she's used the oils a lot with her kids, of course. And so let me get her back on here. And does anybody, oh, you know what, before we do that, I wanted to announce that we have Cindy, who won the first giveaway, and Cindy is going to win a bottle of Citrus Fresh. So Cindy will need to get your contact information from you so that we can get that shipped off to you, but congratulations. And then after Danielle talks, we'll be doing another giveaway. But Danielle, turn it over to you, and she's going to talk about essential oils for babies and kids.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, you have some ideas?
Oh, good. With babies and children, there's just a couple of things that I always keep in mind with using essential oils. Number one is avoiding citrus oils if they're going to be like in direct sunlight, and that's good for everybody. Babies, children, anybody. You have skin, avoid using citrus oils on your skin even in direct sunlight, just for about like 12 hours. So if you're gonna go sit out, get a suntan, don't spray yourself down with lemon oil, just because they are photosensitive oils, the citrus ones. And sometimes we don't think about some of that, but especially with babies, their skin's even more sensitive, so just be careful with that if they're gonna be in sunshine. And the second one is just dilution, which is really the most important thing. If in doubt on using an oil on baby, make sure to dilute it. I usually try to stick to the whole 1 to 30 rule with starting out with essential oil. So 1 drop of an essential oil with 30 drops of the carrier oil. The Young Living V6 oil is really good. You can use that, or you can use coconut oil. And a lot of the moms who are part of our group, for our store, use coconut oil for everything. We use coconut oil a lot. We use it on baby skin for rashes or for other things. And it's great to mix essential oils with it. But to use that as a guideline starting out, to use just the 1 to the 30, and then for some, there's some oils that you can use more than that. That's a good starting point. I guess that's really the main thing. For our kids, we don't give them essential oils to ingest yet. My husband and I, we both ingest essential oils, and definitely think that, for instance, thieves oil and inner defense, we've taken that just to help boost our immune systems. And we definitely think that that's had a significant impact on our health and not catching every single little sickness that goes around. Our immune systems are a lot healthier with that. But our children can't take that yet. So we just watch out with ingestion. I want them to be able to tell us everything that they're feeling and not just assume. That's the important thing. Mm-hmm. Anything else you think I'm forgetting, Lisa?
All right, great. What's your favorite oils to use on your kids? Do you have any that you like?
Leaves, for sure. Boosting healthy immune systems. Lavender. We use lavender a lot. Peace and calming. Use that
okay.
It's just
yes. Okay. Good. Well, thank you. Yeah, I love talking to moms who use oils on their kids regularly, and it does take some extra caution, as you need to be careful not to overwhelm them, but I know that it can have a big, profound effect. If you are just cautious about using them even topically, diffusing is always a great way to benefit your children with oils. And so Narelle is going to come now, and she's going to talk a little bit about some of the different two different diffusers and kind of some different options that you have. So I mentioned that these are both cold air diffusers, but she's going to give us a little overview of some different options and how they work.
Hi everyone, I'm Narelle Castellino. I'm going to be talking today about some different diffusers that Young Living offers. The first one is called the Bamboo Diffuser. Looks like this. Pretty good looking diffuser. It's fairly easy to use, and it's, how long does this go for? It goes for 4 hours continuously. Yes, it is a water diffuser, so it does have humidity, and then we have the Rainstone diffuser, which is a great diffuser because it has a few different options. You can run it for 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, or 8 hours. And it's also pretty good looking. And it's very easy to use, and it's easy to clean. I personally use the Rainstone more often, but I'm sure the Bamboo is good too. I haven't used that a lot, but so that's a little bit about the diffusers.
Great, thank you. I love diffusing, and this is a really good way, if you're used to using air fresheners in your home, to eliminate a lot of chemicals, is by diffusing essential oils instead of using plug-in air fresheners or Febreze spray in your home or different things like that. you're benefiting sometimes your emotions, sometimes your health, and definitely you're eliminating a lot of chemicals. Okay, yeah, and then Norel wanted me to mention that the Rainstone diffuser also has an ionizer, which is that gets a little scientific there, but we benefit from having negative ions in our system, which is more like what we get when we're in nature a lot or by waterfalls by the ocean. Those things can have a really beneficial effect on our body. So another question that we get a lot of times is, how do essential oils benefit my health, or can they boost my health? And this class, unfortunately, we can't go too deep into very many of these things, but I just wanted to cover some of the ways that you can support your health with essential oils. One of the biggest contributors to to disease and to lack of health is stress. And so this is kind of unrelated. It's not like stress isn't a disease. It's not something that we get, but it has a huge impact on our well-being. And so there's some oils that can be used to benefit our bodies and help us to calm down and not be stressed. These are just some of the things. Danielle mentioned peace and calming, and I've heard so many stories from moms who really appreciate that for their children and for themselves too. But when people are getting stressed out, then peace and calming can do the trick. Lavender, frankincense, tranquil. I mentioned the roll-ons there. The roll-on is an essential oil that's in a little bottle that has a little roller top, so you can just kind of maybe roll it on your neck or roll it on your shoulders someplace, and that can really help to reduce your tension. We will send these, once again, we'll send these notes out at the end so you don't have to take all the notes. But some things I wanted to mention to support our immune system. Obviously, our immune system is pretty much central to our health. And so some dietary supplement oils that you can use for that would be things like oregano, lemon, and the Thieves Blend, and MU-Pro. There's also some supplements listed that contain different essential oils as well. Okay, I just have to take a second and talk about thieves oil, because when I first started to learn about essential oils, I heard about this thieves essential oil, and I thought that thieves was a plant. I was like, the thieves plant, that's weird. But there's actually kind of a historical story behind that name. The thieves is actually a blend of different oils that has been passed down for centuries from people back in Europe during the bubonic plague. They said that they found this band of thieves who were running around and looting the dead bodies, but they weren't getting sick. And of course, that was baffling to them. But in exchange for a lesser sentence, they said, give us your recipe. How are you not getting sick? And the thieves disclosed that they were using a blend of different botanical oils. So whether this is exactly what those thieves were using back then, we don't know. But that recipe has been preserved in a British museum. And this is kind of a replica of that. And so who knows? Historically, that's how it was used. And this is a blend that I personally still use to support my immune system. I really like that one, and a lot of other people do too. It does have clove oil and cinnamon in it, which make it kind of a hot, spicy oil. So that's one that you might want to dilute with a carrier oil if you're using it topically, or if you're taking it internally, you might just try a drop in some warm water or something like that if you're starting out with it. But it is a good oil. So our immune systems, of course, especially this time of year, I know that I give a lot more emphasis to boosting my immune system. So the oils on this list are especially important to me right now. I like to focus on those. Another system, and I'm not going to cover all the systems, but this is another big one, our digestive system. Some oils that you can use to support that are peppermint, digize is a blend, and then fennel is another blend, another oil you can use. Personally, I like to take peppermint internally, maybe after a meal or before a meal, whenever I feel like I can use some support for my digestive system. Now, peppermint kind of tastes like eating 1,000 candy canes if you put a drop in your mouth. So you might start out slow too, and maybe put a drop in some warm water if you don't feel like taking it internally. But that's another way to use it. The next system that we'll go over quickly, and there again, these will probably be other classes at other times where we can go into each one of these systems more thoroughly. But the next, I wanted to just go over some oils for her. So, and then we'll talk about some oils for him. These are some that can be especially supportive for both women, especially for women, would be the Progestins Plus, and some of these others that are listed here. Thyromin is a supplement, but jasmine and geranium and clary sage are all oils that can be used especially to support women's health. Of course, we can't leave out the men. We're going to talk more about them too when we talk about the do-it-yourself things at the end, but some oils for him would be Shutron. Mister is a blend made especially for men. Idaho Blue Spruce is an oil that comes up a lot when you're talking about oils to support men's overall well-being. So that is a flyby of some of the systems and how to support them with essential oils. And so keep that in mind along with the usage suggestions that we gave, some ways to actually use the oils. If you're trying to boost a specific system, pick one of the oils on that list, combine it with one of the usage techniques. Either maybe the package says that it's topical oil, maybe it says that it's internal, maybe you decide to use it aromatically and diffuse it or use it by smelling. Combine one of those oils with one of those techniques and try it and do it a few times. Like, nothing good usually happens after just one time, but it's a consistent usage that can be really helpful. All right. Narelle, do we have another winner yet? Okay, what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and put up the third giveaway as we're kind of getting closer to having our question and answer time here shortly. So the third giveaway, this is where I'd like you to comment and say your name again, just so I make sure that we get to you, and then go ahead and say your favorite oil if you have already used essential oils, or you can say an oil that you'd like to try if you haven't used it before. So you can leave that note on there too. So she's going to put that up and you can start to enter that giveaway. But moving on, we have a couple of other important things to go over as we're going to talk about some ways to save money using essential oils. And one of the biggest ways, people are always wondering, like, can these help save me money? Because I'd rather simplify and use less things in my house, but ways I can do that. So as I mentioned before, the way that I got into the oils was by teaching classes for Whole Foods, and we made all kinds of natural skincare products. And since I've gotten back into the essential oils and using like therapeutic grade, top quality ones, I've been able to simplify my life considerably. I've been able to take out so many chemicals, and then even just using a few oils, I've been able to make a lot of the things that I use around my house and for my body and skincare and everything. So it's been that's one of my favorite things about the oils. So we don't have time to go in depth on all of these things, but all these recipes are going to be in the course handout. But I'm just going to talk through a few of the ways that I use oils around my house. One of the big culprits when it comes to chemicals is soap, and especially antibacterial things that we use in our families. And so anything that says antibacterial is probably also killing the good bacteria that's supposed to be in our body to attack the bad bacteria. And so I've really tried to move away from antibacterial anything for dish soap, for hand soap and everything. But soap is really important, and I've started to make my own foaming hand soap. It's super easy. What you do is you take liquid baby Castile soap, And I'll put all the sources for all these things in the notes. But liquid Castile baby soap, you just put like a quarter, you fill this about a quarter, and then you add a little drizzle of maybe an almond oil or grapeseed oil, something for some moisturizing. Then you top it off with distilled water, and you add 10 or 12 drops of an essential oil. I like to use thieves or lavender or lemon in my soap. As long as it has a foaming top, which this is an old recycled bottle that I've had forever, you're gonna have fantastic foaming hand soap that I made in literally, 27 seconds. And it costs way less, and it's something that I can feel great about using every time I need to wash my hands in the bathroom. You can also use this for baby shampoo in our baby take and make classes. It's the same recipe basically that you use for the baby shampoo. So baby Castile water and in a foaming hand soap container. So I'll put that recipe in there. One way that I really like to use the oils is by making mister bottles and spritzes. So this is an easy way to benefit from the oils. Here again, simple recipe. I put a little bit of sea salt in the bottom of an empty bottle. I add in the essential oils, whatever blend I'm using. And then I shake that up. I shake the salt together with the essential oil. That's so that when I add the liquid, the oils will disperse through the water and not just sit on top. Same if I'm taking a bath or something like that. I always want to mix the essential oils with salt before I put it in the water so that they won't just pool up on top. But yeah, so you mix the salt and the essential oil. I add a little bit of vegetable glycerin, which can help the scent to stay. Vegetable glycerin. If you don't have this though, you'll live without it. But it is good to add. Add some vegetable glycerin, and I top it off with distilled water and shake it up, and I have a great mist that I can use for all kinds of different things. I use it to, sometimes I use it in my shoes to kind of cleanse my shoes. Sometimes I use it as a hand cleanser. I'll just spritz it on my hands. Sometimes I will just spray it in the air. Sometimes I'll spray it on as a cooling mist. There's all kinds of different directions you can go with making super easy mists. Cleaners is another huge culprit when it comes to chemicals in our homes. And so I've been able to eliminate all the cleaners I use in my house pretty much just by switching to using an essential oil cleaner called Thieves Cleaner, which is it's a concentrate that I just mix in water. It takes a tiny bit, like a teaspoon to a tablespoon at the most, to make the cleanser, and I use that for all my cleaning in my house. Sometimes I mix it with some white vinegar if I need to get mineral deposits off of my sink or my tub or my toilet, and that's a fantastic way to clean your house. I love that because when I'm cleaning, I know that I'm also benefiting from the aroma of the essential oils while I do my housework. So that's really easy. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is a present for men. Some people were wondering about this. This question was making beard oil. Now, beards are all the rage these days, if you haven't noticed. And so if you're looking for a present for a man in your life, and then something that's also going to boost their health, I've been making this beard oil. I'll put the recipe on the notes, but I mix some carrier oil. Like I really like to use jojoba oil, and almond oil is really good. And I'll mix it in a little bottle that has a little serum pump top on the top. And then it takes just a few drops of oil, some kind of manly scents, in the beard oil that you just add in together to mix it up. Some good manly scents would be things like cedarwood, Idaho balsam fir, melaleuca has kind of an effervescent scent, wintergreen, bergamot, different ones like that that men like. So I'll put all those recipes on the notes. Recently, the Young Living blog had a whole bunch of different blends for making beard oil. So we'll provide that with you along with the blend that I always make. So I think you'll enjoy doing that for friends and family, anybody who has a big beard. I want to, the next giveaway that I'm gonna do, I have an announcement. The next giveaway goes to Melissa, who entered on Facebook. And Melissa is going to win the bottle of nutmeg. Nutmeg is a dietary oil, but I really, when I'm feeling just a little bit low on energy, I really like nutmeg. So sometimes I'll put a drop in my hot water for tea. Sometimes I will put it in a smoothie, like with bananas or something like that. Or it's, of course, good for anything that you use nutmeg spice for. So congratulations, Melissa. And I think people are entering the third giveaway now, and we'll announce that winner right before the last giveaway at the end. The one other topic that we wanted to go over was the best people also when they're talking about saving money with oils, not only can they save by helping boost your health and save by helping you eliminate chemicals, which is great for the long term, but then also for, of course, all the things you can make and all the things you don't have to buy because you can whip up easy things yourself. I wanted to share with you the easiest way to get the oils, and the best deal is to get what we call a premium starter kit. And so this contains a lot of the oils that we talked about tonight. It has, you get a large diffuser. The one that's in this picture is called the Dewdrop diffuser, which is the one that I'm currently using the most. That's my current favorite. It's the Dewdrop diffuser. And then it comes with 11 essential oils, and it comes with some favorites like frankincense, the Thieves Blend. It comes with Stress Away, Pan Away, which I love to use after exercise if I'm feeling kind of sore. RC has an amazing uplifting scent. When I breathe it in, it feels so good. I love to do that one, diffuse it at bed. Lemon oil, it has lavender, has peppermint, copaiba, which is a great dietary supplement oil. It has purification. I like to use that to diffuse or to use in my room mists. It also has digize. It comes with some other great things too. Ningxia Red is one of the is another product that also contains essential oils. We didn't even bring a Ningxia Red bottle, but Ningxia Red is a juice that is also super high in antioxidants, partly because it has essential oils in it. And so I like to drink an ounce or two of that every day, and that really does boost my energy and is overall wellness support and antioxidant. So just as we wrap up here, this is the last slide, but the reason I mentioned this is that it's $340 of products that you get, and but if you get the starter kit, it costs only $160. And so we also have some specials going on right now. So when you do the final your final exit survey, if you'd like that information, we can definitely get that sent over to you if you are interested in any of the special info about the specials. So keep that in mind. We are going to go ahead and just turn it over for some questions now. I have a couple that people have asked already. That's kind of officially the end of the lecturing. Good job, guys. Do what? All right. Okay, a couple questions that we have. Now, some of these I might have to interpret a little bit because of the FDA stuff. So I'll talk generally about some of these. Here's a good one from Randy. She says, is it safe to use the oils in plastic containers? I heard that they can eat away at the plastic and get the chemicals from the plastic into your body. And that is a fantastic point to bring up. When you're doing your take and make things like this, I definitely recommend using glass, or this is stainless steel, because the plastic, the oils can eat away at the plastic. For things like this, like you saw this is plastic. This has just a few drops of oil in it, so I'm not as concerned about that. Overall, I like to avoid plastic in my life anyway, but especially if it's something concentrated, it's definitely better to use glass containers. The other thing about that, if you're maybe drinking some lemon oil in a glass of water, or you would definitely want to use not a plastic cup for that, because the citrus oils especially can kind of degrade the plastic and leach all that nastiness into your good tea. So watch out for that. Here is a great question. Lydia asks, I have a few oils that have been sitting on my shelf: lemon, oregano, frankincense, myrrh, and cedarwood. What can I do with them? Wow, you have some great ones. Those are some of my favorites. And actually, that kind of pulls into a question that Sarah asked. Sarah asks a question. She said, which oils are the best for focus? And I know this is personal experience, but I really like to use cedarwood for when I'm focusing, when I need to really drill down and focus. Some people like cedarwood before bed. It helps them sleep. For me, it helps me come down to it, get my head out of the clouds and come down and really work and hone in on what I need to hone in on. So frankincense is another one that may really improve the appearance of your skin. And so what I like to do, just like I made the beard oil, I'll make facial oil. I'll fill this with jojoba oil, is my favorite for my face. And then I'll add maybe 20 drops of frankincense to an ounce of oil. And that will be, that's a great thing to use topically on your skin. It can improve the appearance of your skin. Frankincense is also one that's great to use for grounding and focus. And so historically, that's been used even in Bible times. That was used during prayer and during worship. Frankincense was in the incense and the scent that God liked a lot. So frankincense is good for that. If you have lemon oil sitting on your shelf, that's a great dietary oil. And so one of my favorite ways, if you're comfortable with using it internally, is just to start using a drop in your water throughout the day. And I'll do that sometimes if it's not quite lunchtime and I think I'm hungry. I'll use a citrus oil in a glass of water, and that really helps me. I think it helps me not feel hungry. Oregano is a good dietary oil. Oregano can be, they're again, a really hot, spicy oil. So definitely don't try that just right in your mouth. But sometimes people like to put that in a capsule and then swallow it. Put a drop in the capsule and swallow it. Myrrh is another oil that's renowned for its, it can improve the appearance of skin. So historically, that's one of the uses for myrrh, even on tired skin or anything like that. So there again, you might mix it with some carrier oil. I mentioned Jeanette Castellino, and I've known her for several years, but I think her skin looks better today than it did several years ago when I met her. And so I asked her one time what her secret was, and myrrh was her oil that she uses on her face. Also geranium, and it's not much. She mixes it with a carrier oil, just a few drops with some other carrier, and uses it on her skin. And so with consistent use, that might be something that you'd really love to use your oils for that. So let's see, another question that we have. I had a question about using essential oils to deter mice. And that's an interesting one. I haven't had personal experience with that, thankfully. I haven't needed to. But the research that I did said peppermint was the oil. Peppermint, spearmint, or eucalyptus were oils you could use for that. Now, if you've tried it and it hasn't worked, you might make sure that you're using a therapeutic grade that is having all the different chemical compounds in it. Because, of course, animals can smell a lot of things that we can't smell. So even if an oil smells good to us, it might not have all the compounds. So a way that you might try that would be to put a couple of drops on a cotton ball and put those cotton balls around in areas where you're having an infestation. And you might need to do it regularly over a period of time. And just that would be one thing you could try. So peppermint, spearmint, or eucalyptus are ideas for you there. We had a couple more questions here. There was one about supporting kind of your endocrine health and supporting your system. So if you ask that question, if there's an oil that you've heard that's good for a certain thing, you might just try using it topically over that area if you're trying to support a certain place. So you could also look at those VitaFlex points on the foot, and if it's a topical oil, you could use it that way. Okay, here's some other good questions. How are y'all doing? These are great questions, by the way. I'm really impressed. We could probably have some class that was just all question and answer, and it would be really fun. I would probably learn a lot too. But Jenny Wilson says, is there any oil that you shouldn't diffuse around babies and toddlers? That's a great question. And I'll be sending out some safety info in the notes for you. But different people say different things. And so some of the oils that you'll hear that people like to stay away from would be things with eucalyptus. Sometimes it's a bad rap. And then sometimes peppermint, and then sometimes thieves will sometimes get that too. Now you'll hear both sides of the story. The main thing when I'm talking to people with babies is just start really slowly and know your child. So do your research. If you are concerned about any of those, eucalyptus, peppermint, thieves, then I would look up some things and make your own decision based on that. I'm not going to recommend anything either way for you because I know people who use those things around their children too, and they're fine with it. So that's kind of a personal decision. Also, just make sure that you don't ever overwhelm the space where your baby is with an oil. And so you can start slow. You can maybe just use 2 drops, 1 or 2 drops even in the diffuser along with the water. That's a good place to start, and they're still going to benefit from those oils. That's a good rule of thumb when diffusing with kids. Okay. Let's see. Krista asks, I have heard of oil pulling to make the teeth strong. Do you have any info on that? I do oil pulling, for those of you who might be, this was when I learned about this from my friend several years ago. It was quite interesting to learn about. That's where you basically take a spoonful of oil in your mouth and you swish it around for optimally 10 to 20 minutes. And the oil is amazing. It'll pull a lot of impurities out of your body and out of your teeth and can lead to a lot of good things. I was at the dentist a while back, and they mentioned, the hygienist mentioned somebody had been oil pulling, and she was really impressed at how it had improved the oral health of this person. And so that was a good little vote of confidence for oil pulling. Personally, I like to use coconut oil the most because I think it tastes better. It's easier to handle than olive oil, or the other traditional one is sesame oil. But yeah, I just take a spoonful in your mouth and swish it around. I like to do it when I'm in the shower because for some reason I think about it less when I'm doing other things too. But I also like to add a drop of essential oil in with it. You might start with just like a drop in a little container full if you are not sure if you can handle a whole drop at once. But I've noticed that when I use things like the lemon oil or citrus fresh, it's pleasant, it tastes good, and that's gonna also add to the purifying effect. And then they also say that it whitens your teeth, and I have definitely noticed that. And that could just be me. I don't know if there's any science to back that up, but I like to do that. So if that doesn't answer your question completely, feel free to jump on with more questions. So, all right. Kim asks, is there an oil to use to detox the body? Detoxing is a really big topic, and I think I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that, but some of the oils that people do like to use just for overall wellness and to have kind of a purifying effect would be things like lemon oil, the citrus oils, grapefruit, things like that. And so that goes along with our next giveaway, which we're going to announce here really soon. We're going to give away a bottle of tangerine. So well, that would be one that you could use as a good overall cleansing for your body. Okay, let's see. I'm going to take about 2 more questions, and then we'll have our final giveaway. We'll actually go ahead and do that. For the final giveaway, everybody who goes to the website here, the crashcourse.essentialway.com, everybody who goes to this website and enters the form, that's how we're going to do the final giveaway. So you have to go away from YouTube for a second and enter that little survey there. And that's also how I'll get your info so we can send you the class notes. You can see that there. So I'll leave this up for a second. Okay, and the last, let's see, for the third giveaway, Erin is the winner, and so she wins the bottle of tangerine. Hey, Erin, I actually know you. Good to see you. But so congratulations, Erin. We'll get that sent off to you. Okay, I'm going to take a couple more questions. One thing that people were wondering is what's the best way to use different ones? Do you use them on your feet, or do you diffuse them in a cream, and how it can kind of be confusing, like what's the best way? I'll go back to what I mentioned earlier, is that the main thing is it's probably not like necessarily the best way, but finding a good way and doing it with consistency. And so there's some different books and resources out there that we can direct you to, but the main thing is just picking an oil and picking a method and doing it. Use common sense and try it. And then Cindy also asked, I've heard that there are many health benefits, but I'm not sure what we're supposed to combine to get different benefits. And so there again, along with that is basically not necessarily one way to do it, because they're pretty versatile, but is choosing something and going with it. So if you have a specific area that you're trying to support too, you could mention that, and that might be able to give a little more info. But okay, well, you all did fantastic. You hung with us for a good while, I'm going to put Danielle on here one more time, and we're going to say, probably say goodnight, unless there are any, this is your last chance for any questions. I'm sure we could talk for a long time, but we're not going to, we'll save the rest for another time. Did you have any last things to share, Danielle? Here, let me unmute you. That would be good. Ah! Okay. Sorry.
It's all right. There we go. Part of it's me. This is only my second time ever being on one of these.
Okay, you're good.
Part of it's me. But anyway, all I was saying was thank you, Lisa, for doing this for us. This is really, really informative. And I've been going back and forth in between the different Facebook events and the chat and all the questions and stuff. And I'm still posting some more infographic stuff too. Just
Okay, great.
Shares that I think are really interesting, might be helpful. And
Great.
if anybody's missed part of this, they can still come back and view again. And
right.
Way too, they could even share the video with their friends too later.
Yes.
That's a possibility.
Yes.
We can have the links up too.
Mm-hmm.
For those moms who were interrupted by little ones or had bad connection issues. I know one person mentioned that they couldn't hear.
Okay. Sounds good. Great. The last thing I'll mention is I know that we do have some, if anybody's interested in signing up this week, we do have some extra special deals for people who want to get that kit this week. And so as long as you entered your email address at the end, we'll get in touch with you about those special deals.
Yes,
and
some of them are very big.
Yes. All right. We'll sign off for now. Thank you so much. And we'll just pray for your continued health and wellness. And there's Elsie.
You say hi? Hi. She just snuck in.
That's great. That's a good way to say good adieu, I think.
Can you tell everybody good night? Say good night. Good night. Bye.
Good night. Thanks. Thank you all so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.